Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be about the Bullitt series. As you can see behind me, this thing came out amazing. Everybody loves it. If you stick around, you're going to find out why we're going to completely disassemble this thing. So stay tuned and let's get started. We spent a lot of money on our builds, and as you can see, there's a lot of havoc in terms of stuff laying around our shop, and that's because we're in the process of moving. Our last video, Alex kind of shared some of that stuff with you guys, and right now there's so much clutter going on here because there's construction going on at our new facility, and a lot of the projects are being diverted to that location just to free up some space here. We have about 6 months left on our lease, and we need to take advantage of it because it's going to take us that long to move all these projects and all the parts related to these projects, not to mention the lifts, the booth, all that stuff. Let's get started. Our plan originally was to build the replicas of the cars used in the original movie Bullitt. Word came down through my connections that there was a movie in the works. There was talk that they were going to use the original 68 Charger and the original 68 Mustang Fastback, and we thought, man, this might be a great opportunity for us to build these cars, not to mention the fact we love them, but build these cars and potentially get them used as promotional tools for the movie with our connections that we have with the studios, and or actually being used in the movie. You know, with the writer's strike going on, things have changed a little bit, and you know, talk is that they may still move forward with this movie a little later on down the road, but there's talk that they may use the more modern versions of the Charger and the Mustang. It kind of got us thinking, what do we do? We started talking, and you know, as much as we'd love to just tell you guys money's not an object, you know, we're still a relatively small channel. We hope to get up there to the point where we actually could start making some money with our videos. We're a ways away from that, so we have to consider exactly how much money we invest in our cars. This 68 Charger started life as a small block 318 car with a 727 automatic. It needed a lot of work. We put a great amount of work in restoring this car to where it stands today. I think we killed it. Remember, our goal was to replicate the car used in the actual series Bullitt. There's only one thing that I changed to make our car slightly different. Tell me if you guys can recognize the difference. And it's super minor. I just couldn't live with it not having these particular things on it. We sat down and we put our bean counter hats on, and Alex and I started looking to see what the value of this car would be. It came with a 440. The previous owner put a 440 in it. It's not a date-coded motor or anything like that. We actually coded the motor to find out what kind of engine it was, and it turns out it's an RV block that was pulled out of a late 70s RV. You know, it's a little bit of a torque monster in terms of what it has in its internals. We wanted to squeeze some more power out of it, so we went with the Edelbrock intake manifold with the ProFlow X. We put an X-pipe exhaust in it, and you know, we mated it to a 6-speed, brand new Tremec 6-speed out of the crate. We used the 727 automatic for our Toretto Charger build, and of course we had that thing fully built to accommodate the power that that motor is going to have in it. It's not a car that drives and performs like these newer cars. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But you know, you drive it a little spiritedly, the hubcaps will fly off. I am so thrilled the way this car came out. It is just stunning in every way. So we went to the extreme on this. We wanted air conditioning. We put a vintage AC system in it. Everything on this car is built to externally, aesthetically look like the movie car, but we wanted to have a little more power under the hood. We started putting a list together of how much we're in this car, and we're in this thing quite a bit of money. I know everybody has an opinion on what a car's worth, and especially when you're maybe interested in buying one, the first thing you're going to do is argue spiritedly about how it's not worth that because you want to buy one. We get that, but we use Bring a Trailer, we use eBay, we use auction sites to really compare our cars to what those cars are selling for, and we're pretty accurate. We know that these cars fetch really decent money, and we proved that to ourselves by selling our 65 Buick Riviera. If you go back and look at the Riviera videos, that black Riviera sold for an enormous amount of money when everyone said it wasn't going to bring that much. So we have a pretty good idea what this car is worth, and as it sits, we think it'll fetch probably somewhere in the area of the 60s, and that's because we did such an amazing job on bringing it back to look like a stock RT. It's not an RT, it's a 318 car. They built thousands of these cars. So we realized we're going to probably lose close to 10 grand on this thing. And do we really want to lose $10,000 if we sell it? And then we started looking at values on what a 68 Bullitt Mustang would sell for with a Coyote motor and a 6-speed Tremec transmission. We kind of came to the realization those Bullitt Mustangs aren't selling for anywhere near what we're going to be in it. We had an enormous amount of success with our 68 fastback Eleanor build that we did years ago, and that was also a Coyote swap motor with a Tremec 6-speed, and we ended up putting a really badass supercharger on it, and the car made just enormous power. We kind of came to this realization that we'd be better off financially turning that 68 Mustang into a Eleanor replica. We know we'll get our money out of it. Just like this, I don't know that we're going to get our money out of it, so we asked ourselves, do we want to lose money? And as you know, all these builds aren't being funded by anybody but us. You know, we have to be mindful of how much we invest in these cars and what the real sellable value is. We're going to pull this entire car apart because we have a completely different plan now for it. The engine, the transmission, all that stuff, all this stuff's going to be for sale. We're going to sell the engine. We're going to sell the brand new 6-speed transmission. We're going to sell the rear diff. The rear diff has been modified. It's an LSD in it. The interior, the front seats also will be available for sale. The wheels, the tires, the hubcaps, all for sale. We're going to put this car up on the lift and we're going to start the disassembly process. And let me tell you why. The cars that fetch the money are the cars that have modern drivetrains in them. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that want to stand true to originality, and I get that, and I support that 100%. If this was a real RT and it had a matching drivetrain to it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But because it's a 318 car, its desirability isn't as high in terms of resale of what it would be if it had a modern drivetrain. You know, remember the Roadrunner? Look, it's getting so close to being done. And let's talk about this. This car has an altercation subframe, upper and lower control arms. It has coilovers. We've lowered it. It's got 18s in the front and 20 in the rear. This thing drives like a new car. This car also has Dakota digital gauges, just like the 68 Charger. This car also has vintage AC, just like the Charger. If we sell this drivetrain, we're going to put an SRT8 in it. We're going to look for a 6.4. We're going to probably supercharge this car. This car is going to fetch probably somewhere in the area of 100 to 140, 150 grand at auction. And this could do the same. As you can see behind us, there's also a 70 Firebird that we put an LS3 in. This thing is another car that we did vintage AC. We are going to build this as a custom as well. And it's a 70 Firebird Trans Am. Again, I don't want to destroy a perfectly good matching numbers car. It was a clean 70 Firebird that someone had put a Trans Am front clip on, so we're going to keep the Trans Am front clip. We're going to do a beautiful paint job on this, and that's where we have success. Can you imagine this thing lowered like this car with a modern drivetrain in it? It just makes sense. There's lots of things we do to try to save money but not compromise quality. And one of the things that we realized several Resto-mods back is seats. You know, seats are important. You need to have a modern seat, but it needs to look like a seat that would have been in the car back when the car was made. Our go-to seat, believe it or not, is the Mazda RX-8 seat. We have these completely reupholstered. We buy the manual-only seats. Of course, we take the rotary stamp out of it and we completely remake this seat to accommodate whatever look we're trying to achieve. And these are our go-to seats because let's face it, seats are expensive and sometimes they just don't fit the look of the car you're trying to build. What we did on the Roadrunner is this is essentially an RX-8 seat redone to look like it would fit in this car back in the 70s. So that's where we're going on this build series. We're going to pretty much call it quits on the Bullitt series video, and we're going to turn this into our Resto-mod series. So if you guys want to see what we're going to do with this car, please give us a comment and let us know. Are we crazy for doing this? Think about it. Probably another 25 to 30 grand in parts. At the end of the day, likely turn into a $130,000, $140,000 car. Is it worth it? I think so. It's a gamble we're willing to take. So this is going to wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We love the comments. We try to respond to every comment that you guys have for us, even the bad ones. We get an amazing amount of support from some of our followers, and we really appreciate it. It's not easy finding a lot of the parts that we need to do, especially when we're building a franchise car like the Fast and Furious cars. There's some of you guys out there we just really love and respect for your support. So thanks for watching and can't wait to see you on the next one. So if you recall the last video, I don't really recall exactly what condition it was in. I just asked James, our director, who's sitting right over here, and he was supposed to... Cut! You were supposed to tell me. I don't know. What was the condition it was in before?
Unfinished.
So it wasn't painted. The last video. But unfinished meaning painted unfinished?
It was... Look.
I'm looking. It looks finished.